Hey guys, it's Taylor, and it's time for my Booktube-A-Thon Wrap-Up. So, this Booktube-A-Thon, which is my first Booktube-A-Thon actually, was a bit disappointing. I actually didn't have a lot of time to... Wow, a hawk just flew down out the window. So I actually didn't have a lot of time to read this week, just because of a lot of, factors. I was really busy, I was out, I'm planning for my study abroad trip in the fall. So there's a lot going on and I didn't really have a lot of time to read. But on the bright side, I did finish 4 out of the 7 books on my reading list. And that was about maybe 3 or 4 of the challenges. But on the bright side, I did get to go to Harry Potter World, and I will be posting a video on my trip over to Harry Potter World in Universal Studios later this week, once I finish getting all of the pictures and videos that I took there. So without further ado, let's get started with the books that I did read. So the first book I started reading, and I actually did not like it, so I dropped it, and I feel bad because I got to about 60 pages in the book, and I wasn't feeling it. It was really weird. I didn't exactly understand the world building, and none of the characters were likable, and how is it that I was 60 pages in and I was still confused even though there were so many exposition dumps? And that book that I did start and never finished was Eon by Alison Goodman. This was a really big disappointment because I was really excited to read this, and I was 60 pages in, and I looked up from the 66 pages in. And I looked up from the book and I stared at my mom, and all I said was, how am I 66 pages in and I don't know anything about this world? And it's not that there was no information on how the magic system in this world worked or how this world in general functioned. It was more because, there were so many exposition dumps that they got overwhelming and confusing, and honestly they weren't written very well. So I was really disappointed by this. Maybe I'll give it another shot, but I'm really considering unhauling it because I didn't like it at all. So I'm sorry to people who did like it, but God. So after dropping Eon, I decided to hurry up and read a book so that I wouldn't finish the first day of Booktube-A-Thon really disappointed. And so the book I picked up was Rat Queens, Volume 1, Sass and Sorcery. I believe I gave this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads because I really liked it, although I feel like it was a bit too much in the, the dirty jokes and the language. It wasn't entirely for me, but I am actually really looking forward to reading the second volume of this book, or this comic book series, graphic novel. What's the difference? Someone tell me, please. But I did really like it. I liked our female characters. I liked how diverse they were. I really liked the art style, so I can't wait to continue with this series. And I believe this covered the challenge of book that I was introduced to through Booktube. So yeah, this was that book, and I really liked it. So good job, Booktube. After that, I picked up the book that I was only supposed to read after dark. So my plan was, since this book was so large and there was no way I could finish it all in one go, I decided to read a little bit every night, so about 50 pages. And even though I knew I wasn't going to finish, I did make it over halfway through the book by the time Booktube-A-Thon ended. And that book is Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray. I made it over halfway through the book. It's about 613 pages. I'm on page 353. And I really like this book so far. I'm really excited to see how it goes. Libba Bray's writing style is very creepy but also compelling, and the characters just get so much more interesting every time. Yeah, I found this book really great, and I can't wait to finish it because then I can actually devote my time to A Court of Mist and Fury. After that, the next book I picked up and finished was a book that I've been meaning to get to for 4 years now, and it was it was the challenge that covered the read a book and then watch the movie adaptation, and that book was Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. I really like this book. It was very cute, and it's so obvious it was written for younger kids around middle school, and it's very good. It's very informative. I do like books that teach children Greek mythology because I love Greek mythology. I think it's really interesting and compelling, and it's great that he's trying to get a younger generation interested in this type of mythology. While it definitely wasn't my favorite middle grade series fantasy thing for kids, I did really enjoy it. The movie it existed, it happened, let's forget it ever happened. Like, wow, oh my god. As an okay, so I saw the film a couple years ago without having read the book, and I liked it well enough. It wasn't my favorite. I saw it twice and then I was done. Mainly because I did have a crush on Logan Lerman at the time, but other than that, I loved the movie, or I didn't love the movie. I liked the movie well enough. I didn't feel the need to see it too many times. And then I read this, where my eyes opened. When I read this and I watched the film, you can really see the differences and how the film suffered by deciding, well, I guess we're not going to do the book. My question is to the filmmakers, why did you decide to make an adaptation of Percy Jackson and the Olympians and then proceed to not tell the story of Percy Jackson and the Olympians? So many changes in and of itself are just baffling, and I'm thinking of maybe doing a review for this channel on that film because it just angered me. Yeah, so that's what I did. Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Great book, hate the film. On the last day of Booktube-A-Thon, I was scrambling because since I had gone to Harry Potter World, I didn't really have much of a chance to read for that day and the day after because it was my aunt's birthday and I was very tired, so I didn't really have that opportunity. So Sunday of the Booktube-A-Thon, I hurried up and I read 2 books. The first book I read was Star Trek Countdown to Darkness. My goal was to read and finish this comic book before I went and saw Star Trek Beyond, but I ended up getting early tickets to see it, to see the film on Thursday night instead of Friday when it was released to everyone. By the way, the film was great. Go watch it. It's amazing. Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto. It was a perfect film. I loved it. But yeah, I read this, and I guess you could say it counts for my book with yellow on the cover, so let's go ahead and count it. It was good. It wasn't my favorite comic book. I think Star Trek definitely works much better on the screen, whether big or small, than on the page. You can't really get the gist of the action with this, and yeah, it was just okay. The artwork was pretty nice. I liked it. But yeah, I think I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It was good. I'll probably read the rest if there are any more Star Trek comics. But yeah. And the final book I read for Booktube-A-Thon was Love and Friendship and Other Early Works by Jane Austen. These are the little stories she wrote for entertainment during her teenage years. She would write them for family, friends, neighbors, etc. And it's really good. While there are a lot of misspellings in this book and incorrect uses of grammar, I really do think that you can see the early snark of her books, or the snark of her later works just peeking through, and it's really compelling to see how she developed her writing style and her characters and her timeless sense of humor with these books. So yeah, that was my Booktube-A-Thon wrap-up. Unfortunately, I didn't read as much as I wanted to. I didn't get to film as much as I wanted to, but I'm hoping next year I'll be able to devote an entire week to Booktube-A-Thon so that I can continue to come out with great content and to read more and longer books. Thank you all for watching, guys.